Good evening. The recommended action is that the Board of Education return to open session. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Barron?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Cabell?
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Mr. McGowan?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum?
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz?
Aye. Would everyone please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you and good evening. What I'd like to do is start with our mission statement. And Township High School District 211 serves the needs of our diverse community by providing relevant and rigorous learning experiences, opportunities for involvement, and strong support systems that empower all students to reach their full potential. And we'll start with Dr. Small and our state award winners.
Will Director of Athletics and Activities, Eric Winkowski, please come forward and introduce us to some wonderful directors and students.
Dr. Small and board, thank you for taking some time tonight to honor our all-state honors musicians from the Illinois ILMEA. Not exactly sure. Illinois Music Educators Association. There we go. Thank you. Tonight, although we have 4 of our 5 high schools had students who had all-state honors recognition, we will be honoring only students from 3 of the schools are here. Also here tonight to support and honor our students are from Principal Mark Langer and Associate Principal Michael Smith, Conan Principal Julie Novak, Associate Principal Jeanette Ardell, and Schaumburg Principal Brian Harlan, and Associate Principal Kendra Letzel. Students, as your director introduces you, please walk forward to receive your award and stand next to the podium. Additionally, any family members that are here, when your student is introduced, please stand so that we can honor you also. All right, so we started with from band, Matt Moore. Matt Moore is in his 28th year of teaching and his 24th year as a director of bands at Fremd High School. He's earned 3 music degrees from Northern Illinois University. Go Huskies. Mr. Moore's bands have won numerous state honors, and one of the things that Mr. Moore is most proud of is the large number of Fremd Band alumni that have positively supported the music education in their communities and their local school districts throughout the country. Matt.
Good evening, Dr. Small, Mrs. Klimkowitz, and the school board members. It gives me great pleasure to recognize our FHS All-State Band musicians selected for the Illinois Music Education Conference Honors Band or Honors Orchestra. First is junior Christopher Chung, who is joined tonight by his parents Ji Suk and Young Jin Chung. This is Chris's second year being selected as an all-state musician. This year he was selected for the ILMEA Honors Band and was second chair in the ensemble. This recognition ranks him as one of the top clarinetists in the entire state. When asked about his favorite memories from performing at All-State, Chris commented on the outstanding repertoire that he was able to perform, as well as meeting many talented musicians from other schools. Outside of FHS, Chris performs in the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra and was recently selected as the winner of the O'Malley Foundation National Concerto Competition on clarinet, which is a huge accomplishment for a high school musician. Thank you, Chris, for your dedication to the music department and band program. Congratulations, and we look forward to your continued musical growth, leadership, and future accomplishments. I would next like to introduce senior percussionist Yechan Kim, who is joined by his mother, Eugene Cheong. This is Yechan's second year being selected as an all-state musician. This year he was selected for the ILMEA Honors Orchestra as principal or first chair, which qualifies him as the top percussionist in the state of Illinois. When asked about his favorite memories from All-State, he said it was the opportunity to play in the orchestra, but also to play the African Agogo Bells alongside other state percussionists for a piece with the Honors All-State Choir. This was special to him because it was never done in the past with student performers. Also, since he was All-State Honors Band last year, he had the pleasure of performing in all 3 honors ensembles at All-State, which I think is a first for the band program or for a FREM musician. Outside of FHS, Ye-chan is the principal first chair percussionist with the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra and is a CYSO ambassador, giving free interactive concerts in Chicago to inspire the next generation of young musicians. When asked about his future, he plans to pursue a degree in computer engineering while keeping music in his life by joining university bands, orchestras, or percussion ensembles, as well as seeking community service opportunities that use drums and/or percussion. Thank you, Ye-chan. It's been a pleasure to teach you for the past 4 years. We look forward to seeing all that you will accomplish after high school. Next is another senior percussionist, Ashwin Mahadhara, who is joined by his mother, Radhika Iyer. This is Ashwin's second year being selected as an all-state musician, performing on percussion this year in the honors band. When asked about his favorite memories from All-State, he stated that it was definitely playing marimba on one of the pieces with 2 other All-State musicians. So a big marimba, 3 kids just ripping on it. I have a great video if anybody wants to see it. It was absolutely unbelievable. As well as finding an excellent Indian food restaurant in downtown Peoria in between rehearsals. They got to eat. He has performed in numerous FREM bands, symphony orchestra, and jazz ensemble, as well as being a great section leader for our marching band's percussion pit, mentoring many younger percussionists. Outside of FHS, he performs in the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra. For his plans next year, he's currently undecided on his college choice, but plans to major in electrical engineering. He will definitely keep playing in university bands, orchestras, or percussion ensembles. Congratulations, Ashwin, on your musical accomplishments, as well as the service that you've provided in so many ways for our music department. We wish you the best and look forward to your bright future. Lastly, I'd like to introduce senior horn player Elise Schlesinger, who is joined tonight by her father, Matthew Schlesinger, choir director at Hoffman Estates High School. This is Elise's 3rd year being selected as an all-state musician, where she received the honors of principal horn in the band her sophomore year, principal horn in the honors orchestra last year, and principal horn in the honors band this year. This definitely qualifies her as the top horn player in the state of Illinois. Outside of FREM, she is a principal horn with Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra and was recently selected for the National Youth Orchestra of America, one of only 5 horns from the entire country selected. This is basically considered the highest honor for a high school musician. This summer, she will have the opportunity to perform, all expenses paid, Carnegie Hall, Japan, China, and South Korea with the orchestra. Her top memories from All-State were the repertoire and challenging music, as well as getting to play with some of her friends from the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra. Next year, Elise plans to attend a music conservatory majoring in French horn performance, either the Cincinnati Conservatory, Eastman School of Music, or perhaps the New England Conservatory. Thank you, Elise, for your performance and service to the FREM bands, orchestras, and Tri-M Music Honor Society. Congratulations on all of your musical accomplishments, and we can't wait to follow you and your professional musical career in the near future.
All right, on to FREM Choir. Christina Collins started teaching at William Fremd High School in 2014. She attended the University of Illinois Champaign and graduated with a bachelor's degree in music education and has a master's degree from DePaul University. While in Illinois, she performed in numerous choirs, a cappella group, the Ripcords, and currently she continues to perform professionally with the St. Charles Singers. At FREM, Christina directs 4 curricular choirs, 2 a cappella groups, and is the vocal director for the musical. Christina.
Thank you, Dr. Small and school board members, for this opportunity to present. I am very pleased to recognize 3 amazing Fremd Choir students for their participation in the Illinois All-State Honors Choir. This places them in the top 4 of their voice parts for our region of the North and Northwest suburbs. It is an honor to be their teacher because they are all wonderful musicians and people. They have been able to continue in choir along with their busy academic and extracurricular schedules, and they are all juniors, so I'm very excited to have one more year with them at Fremd. At the All-State Festival, they worked with Dr. Frances Fonza from Southeastern Louisiana University, and she was an excellent director. I enjoyed observing their rehearsals and seeing the growth over 3 days. First, I would like to introduce Kristen De Jesus with his parents, Christina and Guari. Christian performed as a bass 2 in the choir. He is a section leader in chamber singers and has also been helping with our tenor bass ensemble during his lunch period. He was a monarch for homecoming, representing choir because he's always willing to help and assist with anything in the choir program. He also participated in the regional ILMEA Vocal Jazz Festival in November and just sang with the jazz bands last night at the Jazz and Java concert. Christian works hard every day and holds himself to a high standard of performing. His favorite thing about Allstate was learning the challenging repertoire. Please help me in congratulating Christian. Next, I am pleased to recognize Max Gould. Max sang as a bass 1 in the All-State Honor Choir, but he's really a versatile singer because he sung almost all of the voice parts available for tenors and basses. He was also selected for the Illinois All-State Musical this year that performed at Theater Fest in January, and he will be playing Prince Eric in Fremd's production of The Little Mermaid in April. Save the date. He's a strong leader in both the Fremd choir and theater program. He's very organized, positive, kind to his peers and the directors. His favorite All-State memory was singing with new friends that he made. Please help me in congratulating Max. Finally, I'd like to introduce Madeline Ranieri with parents Laura and Paul. Madeline sang alto 2 in the honor choir, and she has been very involved in different choirs both at Fremd and outside of school. She also performed a solo with the jazz band last night and was selected for the Illinois All-State Musical, even being called upon to be a potential understudy this year when one of the leads for the show was sick the week of the performances. She has a very versatile and expressive voice, and she will be playing Ariel in The Little Mermaid at Fremd, so you can come check out the show. Her favorite All-State memory was hearing the very first sounds that the choir created together. Please help me in congratulating Madeline.
All right, now on to Fremd Orchestra. Marla Caballero is in her 32nd year of teaching music and serving as the orchestra director at Fremd High School. Being that she's a proud District 211 graduate of Fremd High School, she has spent a grand total of 36 years of her life within the buildings at Fremd High School. Congratulations, Marla. Marla earned her bachelor's degree in music education from Illinois Wesleyan, a master's degree in music education from the Vandercook College of Music. In 2014, Marla was named the outstanding school teacher by the Illinois chapter of the American String Teachers Association. Marla.
Thank you, Dr. Small, Mr. Winkowski, School Board, and District Administration for the opportunity to recognize our All-State musicians and for financially supporting these experiences for our students. I count it a privilege to, these are not sad tears. These are, my eyes are tired tears. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I count it a privilege to teach each one of these incredible musicians and leaders in the Fremd orchestras. I am very proud of them for all they've accomplished, but more importantly, who they are and how they represent themselves, their families, and the Fremd orchestras. The first student I'd like to recognize is Max, bassist, junior, Maxwell Blanco. Max is here with his father, Andy. Max was selected for the second year in a row for the All-State Honors Orchestra as a member of the bass section. Max is a member of the Symphony Orchestra, Jazz Ensemble at Fremd, and the Elgin Youth Symphony. He takes every opportunity to make music, and you can just see the joy on his face every time he plays. Max shared that he found at Allstate ways to create better tone on his double bass and during the many hours of rehearsal. A favorite memory of Max's was eating at Bayleaf with 12 other people, genuinely enjoying spending time with friends. Would you please join me in congratulating Max? This is what happens. My eyes get really dry and tired, and then they start to water. And I don't know. I can't turn it off. Junior double bassist Malu Pishrati is who I would like to recognize next. She is here tonight with her parents, Vishnu and Sanjita. This is the first year Malu has been selected for Allstate and was a member of the Allstate Honors Band this year. There are only 2 bassists in the band, and this was a new experience for her that she very much enjoyed. When she's not in the pool or at speech team, Malu is always eager to make music. She and Max make a great duo in Fremd Symphony Orchestra. She shared that she learned a lot about band instruments and how to adjust for better balance in such a large ensemble. A favorite memory of Malu's was performing America the Beautiful with the band, choir, and orchestra because there were so many people singing and playing together, approximately 500, and it was really beautiful. Please join me in congratulating Malu. Next is senior violinist Minhee Cho. Minhee is here tonight with her parents, Matthew and Teresa. Minhee has been selected for Allstate 2 years in a row. Last year for the Allstate Orchestra and this year in the Honors Orchestra. Minhee has always had a very sweet sound when she plays and is an extremely hard worker. It's been exciting to hear and see the growth and depth in her playing as a violinist and leader over the last 4 years. Minhee shared that her favorite memory was, quote, playing kazoos and making music for as long as we did during the rehearsals. I'm assuming not on kazoos. With the amazing and fun musicians I met in Peoria. Minhee is undecided about her future plans after graduation, but she is planning to continue making music. Please join me in congratulating Minhee. And lastly, senior violinist Nadia Rosati, who is here tonight with her parents, Indra and Monica. Nadia was selected for the Allstate Honors Orchestra violin section for the 2nd year in a row and just performed the finale of Wieniawski's Violin Concerto No. 2 with Fremd Symphony Orchestra last week, actually a week ago today, at the concerto competition concert last week. In addition to her musical involvement, Nadia is a member of the Asian American Club, HOSA, NHS, and is president of the Fremd's Triumph chapter. In the Honors Orchestra, they did a lot of singing, she shared. They sang large portions, if not a piece in its entirety. I observed them doing this, and it was really impressive, not only because I could recognize the piece that they were singing. As instrumentalists, they're always like, we're not in choir. But she talked about how impactful that was in terms of the phrasing and learning how it all flows together. Beware, Fremd orchestra students, we'll probably do some more singing. But she also shared that she enjoyed spending time with her peers and that it was really cool interacting with people from other schools. Nadia is also undecided about her future plans after graduation, but she also is planning to continue making music. Please join me in congratulating Nadia.
Okay, on to Conan High School. Leanne Roeder Manson is the assistant band director at Conan High School and has been a music educator for 22 years, the last 12 in District 211. Leanne completed her undergraduate degree in music education at Elmhurst University and a master's degree in music education from Vandercook College of Music. She co-teaches all curricular bands, marching and pep bands, teaches AP music theory, directs the pit orchestra for musicals, and facilitates the student jazz combo. Okay, Leanne.
Contrary to what it looks like, we had several students come from Conant this year to go to All-State, but all of our choir and orchestra students are actually participating in other music events tonight. One is on her way to her final college audition, and the choir students are at a rehearsal for a huge concert they're participating in this weekend with a professional composer, and they're very excited about that. But I will read their teacher's notes very quickly. Lily Yoshihara was a senior at Conant. She plays the violin. She is artistic, organized, helpful, humble, and kind. Lily's not here this evening because she's on her way to audition for her music schools and has already been accepted into some of the most prestigious music schools in the country. She has made District 7 IMEA and All-State each year in high school and participates in musical competitions regularly, earning great recognitions. In a few months, Lily will be performing side by side with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra members and later will be featured on the distinguished NPR radio show From the Top. Lily is also a member of the Midwest Philharmonic Youth Orchestra. This year at All-State, Lily earned first chair in the first violin section of the Honors Orchestra, also known as the Concertmaster. That places her as the top violinist in the state, a well-deserved and earned accomplishment. Suhani Banderi was selected this year as a soprano in the honors choir at ILMEA. This was her first year attending the All-State Festival, but she's been no stranger to the stage at Conant. She has been a soloist in our school variety show every year and is enrolled in Conant's chamber choir. Suhani also participates in cultural awareness, student council, and track. And while Suhani is still deciding on college, she intends to study business and finance. We wish good luck to Suhani on her future endeavors. Cordell Cady is a junior this year, and he was selected to perform as a bass 1 in the honor choir. He's not only enrolled in our most advanced choir at Conant, but he also plays trombone and tuba in our top wind ensemble. He is an extremely dedicated music student who can almost always be found in the music wing at Conant. He is inquisitive and has fueled his passion for learning and music. We're glad to have him as part of our program. We know he will continue to do great things at Conant next year. Our last choir student, Nina Rosiles. Nina's parents are here tonight to celebrate for her, Elizabeth and Baltazar. This is Nina's second consecutive year of performing in the honors choir at the ILMEA State Conference. At Conant, she can be found performing in the music and theater programs throughout the year. This fall, she played the role of Mrs. Banks in Conant's production of Mary Poppins. Nina is looking forward to starting college next year and plans to major in performance. We're excited to see what Nina accomplishes in the future, and we look forward to her performances this spring. Last but not least, Jiho Park is here with his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Park. Chiho is a junior clarinetist who has an amazing work ethic and ability we don't often see. This was Jiho's second trip to All-State, moving up into the first clarinet section in the honor band. Jiho is always looking for something to keep him musically busy, even when almost all of his classes start with the letters AP, and he spends just as much time preparing for a career in science by leading the team of Science Olympiad and math team. Upon returning from All-State, he asked if the new audition music was ready for next year and whether or not there were any concerto competitions he should enter. We're very proud of all the musical work he's been doing in and out of school. He's also a member of the Schaumburg Youth Symphony Orchestra, and we look forward to the continued excellence still to come his senior year. Congratulations, Stephen.
All right. Braulio Moro is in his first year as the choral director at Schaumburg High School. That's why you probably don't recognize him. He hasn't been here before. At Schaumburg, he teaches all of the curricular concert choirs, teaches music production, works with the extracurricular vocal ensembles, and vocal directs the musical. He's a member of the American Choral Directors Association and holds a degree in music education from the University of Illinois. Braulio.
Thank you, Dr. Small and Mrs. Klimkowicz, for allowing me to speak about the awesome choir students from Schaumburg High School. So first, I would like to introduce Maya McCurdy, along with parents Matthew, Johnny, Colleen, and Derek. Maya has been an essential part of our choral community at SHS, bringing not only her talent, but also her drive to elevate those around her. As a member of Treble Voices, Choral Ears, Muses, and our District 211 Honors Choir, she has continuously pushed herself to grow as a musician. This year, she took on the challenge of her first musical, stepping into a lead role with confidence and determination. Beyond her performances, she has played a key role in strengthening our choir community as vice president of the choir board. She works hard to foster connections and make sure everyone in her program feels valued and appreciated. With her talent, work ethic, and leadership, Maya continues to set a high standard for our choir program. We are so proud of all that she has accomplished already, and we know she will continue to make an impact her senior year and beyond. Congratulations, Maya McCurdy, on your recognition as an ILMEA All-State musician. Next up is Ava Ramirez, along with her parents, Stuart and Tony. Yeah, it is my honor to recognize Ava Ramirez for her outstanding achievement in being selected for the Illinois All-State Honors Choir. This honor reflects her exceptional talent, dedication, and leadership within our SHS program as well. A four-year choir member, Ava has consistently demonstrated musical excellence, earning a spot in the ILMEA District 7 choir twice, and receiving Division I ratings at IHSA Solo and Ensemble for 3 years. Her passion for performance shines through her involvement in Treble Voices, Choral Ears, Muses, and all 4 of the SHS musicals while she has been a student. This year, she's Morticia in our Addams family. Beyond her achievements on stage, she has been a dedicated leader, serving as vice president last year and stepping up as a choir board president this year. In addition to her leadership role, she also serves as a student intern, helping with rehearsals, organization, and mentorship of our younger choir members. As Ava prepares to major in musical theater in college, this achievement is just the beginning. We are so proud of all that she has accomplished, and we know she will continue to thrive in her next chapter. One thing I forgot to mention is Ava actually is one of the top vocalists in our state and is getting to sing the national anthem at the IHSA, is it women's basketball? Yeah, on March 8th. So that is amazing. So congratulations, Ava Ramirez, on your recognition.
All right, and finally, the orchestra students from Schaumburg. Susan Carlson is in her 20th year as the orchestra director at Schaumburg High School. Prior to teaching in District 211, she freelanced as a violinist in the Chicagoland area and maintained her own violin studio. She continues to perform with the Elgin Symphony Orchestra as a member of their violin section. Susan.
These 3 seniors are very near and dear to my heart, and thank you for the opportunity I have to share a little bit about them and their accomplishments. Amelia Sanders is joined by her parents, Naoko and Aaron Sanders. Ami, as we call her, is a gentle, kind, conscientious, and very hardworking young musician. I have seen her practice in the department day after day, year after year, and she exemplifies dedication, diligence, and consistency. While she made the honors All-State Orchestra on viola, her primary instrument is violin, and on our next concert, March 13th, she will be performing the first movement of the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto with the Schaumburg Symphony Orchestra. She has been a part of the 211 Honors Orchestra and Schaumburg Youth Orchestra program in the symphony and chamber programs. And outside of music, she is a member of the NHS and Diversity Club. One of her goals, beginning in high school, was to make All-State, and she has reached that goal twice, growing in her confidence as a person and as a musician. She is part of the education internship program, and I've seen her mature as a mentor that to class members that class members look up to and admire. It's really been a joy to see you grow in that role. She is certainly a future educator in the making. She will be pursuing music after she graduates, and wherever she ends up, she will be a wonderful addition. Congratulations, Amelia. Next, we have Sarah Sakaguchi. She is joined by her mother this evening, Nobuko. Sarah performed piano and celeste in the honors orchestra this year. She is a remarkably versatile musician as she plays classical piano, jazz piano, chamber music, and violin in the Schaumburg Symphony Orchestra, and sometimes piano in the symphony orchestra as well. Sarah is a talented, highly skilled musician and brings a rare and infectious joy to her friends and peers. To watch her rehearse with them is a sheer delight for a music teacher, really any teacher. The notes and phrases she plays just seem to fall off her fingers with ease. We all know it has taken thousands of hours to get to this point. Sarah is also interested in mathematics and plans to pursue a degree in food science, which I just learned. She's very talented and interested in lots of things. Whether it be helping fellow students with challenging math problems or mentoring younger musicians, she's always willing to help. Her humility and genuine kindness make her exemplary role model within our school community, and any school will be fortunate to have Sarah. Congratulations to you. Evangeline Silker here she comes. She is joined by her parents, Jacob and Aaron Silker. Edie is a senior, and this is her second All-State year. And this year she was third chair violist in the All-State Honors Orchestra. So kudos to her. To put it simply, Edie is a joy to teach. Her energy is seemingly boundless. Boundless. Her passion for music is authentic and contagious. It is always noticeable when Edie is absent, as she brings so much to the orchestra. She stands out among her peers for her technical proficiency, but also for her expressive interpretation and mature understanding of very complex musical works. Edie is currently part of our educator internship program this year, and she has been working with our freshman orchestra. She is generous with sharing her knowledge of music and keenly perceptive in the classroom. She has demonstrated strong leadership skills by organizing sessional rehearsals, mentoring younger players, showcasing her readiness for the demands and responsibilities of a collegiate music program. She is auditioning at elite music schools, and we don't know where she'll end up, but she will, I think she'll light the world on fire. Edie will. Wherever she decides, she will be a fortunate addition at any school. So congratulations, Edie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of our wonderful honors and recognition. I'd really like to thank our young people. You have no idea what joy you bring to people when you play, when you perform, when you sing. I've had the opportunity of attending many of your concerts and performances and plays over the years, and my fellow board members have also been there. So some of your faces look familiar, but thank you for what you do and the joy that you bring through your music and your arts. Thank you to the parents for being there, for supporting your kids, for doing all those extras that you do. These are amazing young people. This is our future. And I'm just so proud of them and of our staff, because we have amazing staff here that you can see how much passion they have for what they're teaching and the students that they really enjoy. So again, I thank you. This is just really an amazing part of our board meeting. Before we let you leave, we are going to take some pictures, so we'll start this way. And then parents, if you want, you can take some pictures also on this. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to continue with our meeting.
You know me.
Okay, and as
You want to sign the sheet?
at All right, at this time, we will be continuing with our meeting, and the next item on the agenda is public comments. The board welcomes you and is pleased to listen to your comments this evening. It's important that you know this is a public board meeting and not a dialogue, so the board members will not be responding to your comments or answering questions at this time. As a reminder, this board meeting is being taped and live streamed. We ask that you value the procedures and decorum of our meeting and be respectful of those at the podium so they may be heard. When I call your name, please come forward to the podium and state your name for the record. Though not required, you may state if you are a resident of the district. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. You will receive a notification when you have 1 minute remaining. Any individual's unused time or place in order may not be deferred to another individual. If you wish a response from the superintendent, please leave your name and phone number with Mr. Teneper. Okay, I have one individual, one lady that had signed up. So our speaker, our guest for our public comment is Kristen Wagner. Please.
Gotta say that was a pleasant surprise because my kids are, two of those are their teachers, and they're amazing in music department. My name is Kristen Wagner. I was an English teacher many years ago and actually student taught at Conant in the early 2000s. I have two awesome students in the music program at Schaumburg. Our principals sent out an email a few weeks ago affirming that they would do their utmost to protect every single student in their care. I greatly, greatly appreciated hearing that and emailed our principal the next day directly to thank him and every other head administrator from District 211 for publicly standing up for our students. Today, I, as a parent, as a community member, and a former teacher, wanted to make sure I let the board publicly know how much that means to me. Our young people deserve support that affirms their humanity, their unique talents, their hopes, aspirations, and concerns. Every single time I see one of our teachers or administrators, I see the wonderful support they're already giving our kids. They foster a sense of safety and community that is a natural foundation for academic excellence and belonging that leads our kids to success both as individuals and community members. Protecting all of our children, working together, letting them know we have their backs, leads to happy kids. Happy kids are more willing to challenge themselves. They're more willing to help each other. They're more willing to want to take care of the hometowns that took care of them. There's always room for improvement, but I see our district consistently enacting policies, allocating resources, and hiring professionals who are dedicated to the well-being of our children. In times when some of our students are under attack, I hope and expect that you'll continue to make decisions that protect and support them, the way our principals just indicated they would. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, then that takes us from public comments. It moves us to our strategic plan update and technology, and we have a presentation. Dr. Small?
Screen.
Here we go.
Oh, I get to introduce you. Hold on. I'm just waiting for the screens to light up. Chief Technology Officer Gary Gorson will present to the board an update on the district's progress toward the technology goal within the strategic plan. Mr. Gorson.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking some time to get
an update on the progress of our 2024-25 strategic plan IT-related targets. Today, we'll review the progress for strategic elements 9.2 and 9.3, focusing on technology updates and innovations and some cybersecurity enhancements. Strategic plan element 9.2 emphasizes staying current with technology updates and innovations. Our 24-25 targets include migrating all users to Windows 11 and Office 21, analyzing automation opportunities for rentals and safety processes, improving collaboration between the application team and the managers, and implementing the new version of Infinite Campus Messenger. Strategic Plan Element 9.3 is dedicated to safeguarding our district's digital assets and our student and staff information. The key 2024-25 target is to evaluate the viability of utilizing the CIS endpoint analysis tool and adjusting system configurations to ensure compliance with security standards. Before we get into the specifics of the targets, though, and the progress we've made toward achieving them, let's take a brief look at the scope of the environment that D211 IT maintains and supports. Our IT team supports nearly 15,000 users every school day, along with thousands of devices that they use. Of course, student iPads make up the largest amount, with over 13,000, including spares and some special use iPads that are used for things like the fine arts classes, design classes, accommodation for special needs, and others. In addition to the thousands of devices employees and students use, IT also supports over 1,200 network switches, firewalls, access points, controllers, servers, and other devices that make up the district-wide redundant local area network and connections to the internet. We also support and maintain over 1,000 voice over IP office telephones. Steve, I know you'll appreciate that. Nearly 1 million emails hit the D211 email system each month. Only about half of those are actually delivered to users. The rest are automatically filtered out as spam, phishing emails, harmful messages containing malware, or messages sent from known malicious or inappropriate sources. IT currently manages a total of nearly 200 terabytes of storage. Data is made up of student information and classroom work for current students, along with archive data for prior D211 students, working lesson data for teachers, teaching assistants, operations data such as HR information like employee demographics, resumes, applications, and certification data, email, payroll data, and more. Teachers are increasingly using digital photos, scanned images, and video content in their classroom, all of which consume very large amounts of data. Now to the specific strategic plan targets. First is keeping the migration to Windows 11 and Office 21 on track. Microsoft has announced that support for Windows 10 will be dropped this October. You'll recall that users' computers are replaced on a 3-year cycle. About 2/3 of the inventory has been replaced with machines that are already on Windows 11 and Office 21, and the final 1/3 is on track to be replaced after school ends late this spring. The second target deals with process efficiency and effectiveness as it relates to rental automation, safety software, and general forms approval workflows. Concerning facilities rentals, our school, software already licensed by the district, is being leveraged to streamline that rental process. Safety response and unification planning and process are likewise being streamlined and enhanced using Raptor, again, software already licensed for visitor scanning by the district. A platform change for accessing the security camera system was implemented to provide fuller functionality, easier and faster access from any location, and at a cost that is a fraction of the previous platform. Increasingly, users are learning ChatGPT and exploring ways to use it to make their tasks more efficient and learning and leveraging Google Forms to automate what were previously manual workflows. The third target involves collaboration between the applications team and various end user department directors and managers, increasing the amount and improving the quality of project documentation, especially requirements documentation, and the regular scheduling of project planning and status meetings have resulted in greater clarity achieved earlier in the project life cycle. So less rework, shorter development life cycles have been achieved. The fourth target, implementing a new version of Infinite Campus Messenger, has not been achieved because Infinite Campus has not yet released the new version as anticipated, and no release date has yet been announced. The education sector continues to be a target with increases in ransomware attacks. Data is not yet complete for 2024. Outright hacking attempts are likewise on the increase in this market sector, with 129 attacks reported in 2022, 954 in 2023, and with 2024 data yet to be completed, but as of October, the numbers appear to be at least as high as what was experienced in 2023. The target under element 9.3 has been achieved as District 211 is aligned with the CIS security standard, since all the checklists used to image endpoints and group policy objects within Active Directory, which is the subsystem that manages user authentication. Those have all been modified to reflect and implement changes to meet the CIS standard. Concerning student safety and privacy, it's worth pointing out that the district is fighting a continuous battle with threat actors of all kinds. At the start of each school year, when iPads get distributed, school technology department chairs distribute documentation to the parents of freshman students addressing the use of iPads. Part of that documentation and messaging includes an overview regarding the educational intentions and appropriate use of those devices. A link to Apple's statement on the protection of students' private information is also provided. Additionally, the district and school websites include pages of information related to the iPads. Also, when the iPads are distributed, the technology department chairs remind parents that Apple provides a parental controls app on their student's iPad so they can further restrict the access their child has to various aspects of the device if they wish. Several measures have been put in place to protect the privacy of students and to keep the district compliant with applicable federal and state privacy and security protection laws. The Children's Internet Protection Act, SIPA, and the Illinois Student Online Privacy Protection Act, SOPA, are examples of those standards. On the iPad itself, Apple's K-12 education environment plus the device configuration settings provide many built-in features that are set and locked in ahead of time to enhance security and privacy. Additional device management and use and feature restrictions are layered on using Jamf, the district's mobile device management software. You'll recall that District 211 received significant grant funding through the federal E-rate program to offset the costs associated with operating the district's computer networks. To receive this funding, the district must be compliant with the Children's Internet Protection Act, SIPA. D211 partners with the state organization Do IT, that program, and the Illinois Century Network program to apply for and secure this funding. The state provides Cisco's Umbrella Cloud Security Service as part of this program to ensure SIPA compliance. Umbrella features extensive category-based filtering capabilities, while the district's Palo Alto firewalls provide direct URL filtering capability. Finally, you'll recall the survey that was conducted by HYA during the superintendent search, in which nearly 2,000 responses were collected. I think it's worth noting that 2 of the top 5 elements identified as strengths of District 211 are technology related. I'd like to acknowledge the outstanding work done by our amazing, dedicated, and skilled technology teams, including the technology department chairs and their staffs in the buildings, the district infrastructure strategy and support team, technology services team of data analysts, programmers, and system support folks located here in the Ad Center. But none of this would be possible without the vision, the support, confidence, and trust from you, the D211 Board of Education. So thank you for your ongoing support as we do our part to prepare D211's students for their futures. If you have any questions, comments, wonderments, love to hear them.
Right. Well, I thank you very much for the presentation. I'd like to start with Ms. Cavill. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I just want to double check that I can be heard okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect, thank you. I only have one question, and I suppose using your terminology, it's more of a wonderment. It's specifically regarding the information towards the end of the presentation about the protections for students in the one-to-one iPad environment that was listed there. I think it's the second to last slide. And has the administration considered liaising with the communications department or director in analyzing the efficacy of our protections, the information about those protections that's being provided to students and parents? I do appreciate the provision of that information on our website, certainly, but I'm wondering if perhaps we can be more proactive or more efficient in communicating all of those different options to parents, simply because, like many other parents, I use those same controls for my own children. And, with every software update, the details of those controls can sometimes change. And so I just wonder if administration has considered liaising with the comms department regarding the provision of this specific information.
So in terms of sending it out to parents, that's what your question is?
Yes, students and parents. I think it was noted during the presentation and comments that information is certainly provided at the beginning of the year and then, of course, on our website. So yes, to clarify, that is what I'm talking about. Thank you.
We could certainly do that, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks again for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Barron?
Thank you so much for the presentation and taking the time to present tonight. And you're doing it by yourself. I think this is the first time we've seen someone by themselves. So awesome. Thank you for bringing up the cyber attacks, because that's a little bit of what I had some questions around, is like, how are we protecting ourselves from, what we hear so often is happening. That happened to a local organization not too long ago. So for the protections of the students, I guess, piggybacking off Ms. Cavill's question as well, because that's something that we heard last board meeting. A parent came to speak about just not knowing what we're doing as a district to make sure that our students can't get into, certain websites. So can you talk a little bit more about that, protection that we're giving our students on their iPads as far as what they could download, what they can't download? Like, are they able to download TikTok on their iPad?
No, to that exact question, no, they're not. We control access to social media pretty closely, so that's very much limited. And the one thing that is probably the biggest piece of that is the category-based filtering that takes place with the state-supplied Cisco umbrella security service that I mentioned. And that those categories range from things like adult-oriented websites, gambling sites, firearms and weaponry, pornography, gambling. There's a whole collection of those that we set up in that filtering system to block access for students to. And like I mentioned, having those protections in place are part of being compliant with the Safety Act for student access to the internet. Mm-hmm. And we have in previous years actually undergone routine audits from the state to make sure that we meet compliance, and we've been successful in those.
And just to clarify, are those protections only when students are accessing like through our Wi-Fi system, or is that also if they're accessing their iPads through like a cafe at their internet at a local cafe? Like, does that extend out, or do parents need to be educated on putting additional safeties on their kids' iPads when they're using other people's Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so what we have in place is only effective for students while they're on a campus network.
Yeah.
So if they go off-site, they're able to access other sites.
I think as a district, we need to, as parents, we get so much communications, like especially when, the kids are freshmen and the beginning of the school year, that sometimes can be like the least of our concerns, which should be like the main. But so seeing more communications about like internet safety, putting more information out there as to like how people knowing the difference of like we're protected in the school, but once you like go out and use that iPad somewhere else, like what can parents do to additionally put in those protections for their students? And that's it. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Bradley?
Mr. Gorson, thank you very much for continues to protect us and the district. Without you in the IT department, I'm sure the district wouldn't be in the state that we're in now, which is pretty profitable and in a good state of mind right now. So thank you very much. I do understand that we do our best to protect our students while they're in school. And a lot of times when they are out of our care, it makes it pretty difficult. But yet we do respond to any concerns parents have, I feel, in a pretty rapid pace. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything you do, and look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosenblum?
Mr. Gorson, thank you very much for the presentation. Appreciate the update. So technology is truly a foundational aspect of our district. It's used for teaching, it's used for learning, and it's used in support of our district operations. And you mentioned some of the areas: safety, compliance, security, communication, facilities, and administration of our district. And your last slide, slide 16, which is the next one, you pointed out 2 of the top 5 identified areas of the survey. But if you look at all 5 on the slide, technology is part of all 5 of these areas in some way. So it truly takes a village to maintain and support the technology of District 211, and for what you do for us, and you and your team and the teams of technologists in our buildings. I'm sure we are all very thankful, as are our parents and students. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you. Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on the targets on slide 10, specifically the collaboration between the applications team and the end user managers, kind of maybe put it in lay terms for some of us that may not be familiar with exactly what the applications team or who that might be and who the end user managers are?
Yeah, we have a team of programmers and data analysts in-house, and they support systems like our student information system, Infinite Campus, for example. And there are lots of requests for analysis of data and extracting data from that system and systems like Schoology, for example, our finance system and other systems that are used across the district. And those teams, both the programming team and the data analysts, pull that data together. They provide some pretty sophisticated data visualization products that are used by staff in the schools. It's used by administration here for executive decision-making to substantiate those decisions that get made. So we've got good data and lots of it, and that's what that team's responsibility is to extract that data and put it together in order to meet the needs of other administrators. What we wanted to do was improve that process. There's such a demand. We want to get the efficiency out of that as much as possible. So we applied some additional project management techniques and kind of tuned it up a little bit with more regular meetings, more in-depth definition of what the requirements are for various projects. And that eliminates having to go back and iteratively rework, and it makes it work much more efficiently. And that's what that aspect is about.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you. Mr. McGowan?
Thank you so much for the presentation. No questions tonight.
All right. I thank you very
Madam
much.
President, I'm sorry, I have a follow-up question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. This is following up from an aspect of member Michelle's questions about how the protections are really only specifically associated with our Wi-Fi networks. So I would like to know if, for example, let's just do the hypothetical TikTok example from the previous question. So I understand that students, regardless of whether or not TikTok is available on the App Store currently, I understand that would it be available, they would not be able to download it when on our Wi-Fi network, but they certainly can, it sounds like, barring parent access or screen time protection set up, if they're at a Starbucks, for example. So let's say a student does that, they download TikTok, and then when they bring their iPad back into school and they're back on our Wi-Fi network, does that then preclude their use of those applications on our Wi-Fi network? So regardless of whether or not they've downloaded those things outside of our network, can they use them once they've downloaded it on our network?
So Mr. Gorson's going to speak to, in general, how our app store works. It does not work like a normal phone or a normal iPad.
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yes, the students don't have access to the Apple Store to download apps independently. Those apps they're completely blocked from that on the device itself. So what we do is we create a school app store and only put in approved apps. So whether they're on the network or not, they need to, anything they download has to be pre-approved.
I see. Fantastic. And then would a student's use of the VPN be able to bypass that?
Well, if they could use a VPN, we do block VPNs. Of course, there are hundreds, if not thousands of those out there. And that's
the issue. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rosenblum
Thank
has
you.
another question.
I do. I have a couple others. One is, as Ms. Barron had said, I think it's important that, we have families, parents, and caregivers who are not technically savvy, may not have technology at home, and the students bringing those devices into the home may be the only device that they have, other than a smartphone, perhaps. And I think it's important, because we're educating our students how to use them, that perhaps we offer some kind of exposure and educational opportunity for the caregivers of those students who may be interested in learning, how does that thing work, right? Because my students bring it home, they're going to their room or they're going to the dining room table and they're logging in and they're using this thing, and I have no idea what they're doing or how they're doing it. So maybe some type of exposure for them to see how it works and offer it to them, not require it.
That's a good discussion for our technology department chairs to have in terms of how we can present that, whether that be through videos, through connections, through newsletters that Aaron would put out.
Sure.
And one other thing was a follow-up to what Ms. Cavill said, is if a student takes a device off campus and they're doing something and maybe they download something onto their device, like through email links or such, and then they come back into our campus, turn on their device, and now they have malware on it. Do we have a system in place that when they turn on their computer or their iPad or their Chromebook or whatever devices that they have, and they're on our Wi-Fi, that our Wi-Fi is scanning that device for anything that may be brought in?
Yes, the way that's set up is that if in the unusual circumstance where a student were to actually get malware onto an Apple device, which is pretty rare to begin with, our servers and the network components are protected with anti-malware software that would detect and cut that device off until it could be cleaned.
Okay, so it would prevent it from spreading, so to
Yes.
speak. Thank you very much.
As much as possible.
Okay.
You remember, I'm not sure all the board members currently saw our Swiss cheese model of security where we have multiple layers where some things do tend to get through some layers, but they get blocked in subsequent layers. But the bad guys are really talented, and it's a constant challenge to try to keep up with that.
And not to say anything negative about your presentation, but I was kind of thinking that there was going to be a Swiss cheese slide, but thank you though.
I'll make sure I get one. for
I
the
only
next
let him
one.
do that once.
Okay, and I was there for it, so.
I do have a question kind of going along with the information we share with parents. Can you talk a little bit more about what type of information do you share with the parents? Do you give them a handout? Is there some kind of a little cheat sheet that they need to watch for? What do the parents get at the beginning when they're told about the iPads?
It's a combination of things. There are handout sheets that have references on them to things like the usage guidelines, for example. There's references to Apple's K-12 education site that talks about student privacy and how that's actually built into the iPad. So it's mostly references, otherwise we'd be handing out stacks of written material. So it's that kind of thing. And then in that process of distribution, the tech department chairs and their staff speak to the parents if they're present or whoever comes to pick up the iPads and talks about what things are available, like the parental controls app that's built into the device. There's some reference made to that. It's a little bit like drinking from the fire hose for these folks when there's just so much potential information. It's hard to just try to get it all out there verbally. So the idea of references and some of the topics that and the suggestions that you all have mentioned tonight could be very helpful in effectively communicating that to parents in a more palatable way.
Right. And I think from the questions that were asked and the responses, I think that's really important because the more you hear things, the more you're apt to remember and learn. So, and even doing hands-on things with the parents, if we had some kind of a presentation, makes a world of difference. So, no, I think you've had some good dialogue, some good questions, and truly appreciated. So, any other questions? Okay, if not, then I thank you very much, and we will move on to the next item.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is our consent agenda. And because not all board members were present at the January 23rd, 2025 board meeting, we have two motions. The first suggested motion, recommended motion, is that the consent agenda with the removal of the minutes of the meeting of January 23rd, 2025 be approved as presented. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Barron,
Aye.
Mr. Bradley,
Aye.
Ms. Cabell,
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Mr. McGowan,
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum,
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye. The motion carries. The second recommended action is that the minutes of the meeting of January 23rd, 2025 be approved as presented. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Barron,
Aye.
Mr. Bradley,
Aye.
Ms. Cabell,
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Mr. McGowan,
Abstain.
Mr. Rosenblum,
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye. The motion carries. Thank you. All right, then that takes us to our special reports and communication. The first is Freedom of Information Act request. That's an information item. If there's no questions, then we'll move on to the next, which is the class size committee report, and that's an information item. Dr. Small?
The master schedule development at each school is a tremendous task taken on by our student services directors, who work to develop a schedule to accommodate as many students as possible in their graduation requirements as well as their chosen electives. The creation of the schedule involves class size agreements, room assignments, teacher availability, and involves algorithms put in place by our software, followed by hand adjustments for unique instances as part of a very complex system. The report is presented to the board after each semester, showing the number of individual classes that have more students than prescribed by the scheduling guidelines. This semester, the report indicated that only 8 of 3,351 individual classes are in that category, and 6 of the 8 were resolved within the first 6 days of school. I would like to acknowledge the people who make this happen. Those are our student services directors at each school, including Fred Rasmussen at Palatine High School, Tracy Baffia at Fremd High School, Bridget Kane at Conant High School, Yasi Delgado at Schaumburg High School, and Jennifer Beers at Hoffman Estates High School for the work that they do in creating the master schedule within the parameters that we give them.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, if not, that will take us to the next item, the 2025-2026 financial calendar, including budget and levy sequence. It's an informational item. Dr. Small?
Attached to the agenda is the financial calendar, including the development of the budget and the levy. This year-long financial calendar is outlined as informational and a reminder of the upcoming process.
Okay, if there's no questions, then we'll move on. The next item is the Behavioral Intervention Standing Board Committee report. I was able to attend that meeting. Renee Erickson chaired the meeting, and there were a couple of parents and teachers that were there. They looked at the policy that talks about behavioral interventions with students with disabilities and looking how to promote and strengthen the desired behaviors. One of the parents that was there, who has a child at Endeavors, also talked about some of the activities that they have at the home school, and the encouragement of having some of our special needs students being able to attend those activities and also buddy up with a student from that home school. So looking at that as a strength and making it a little bit more comfortable for our young person who has some disabilities. It was a small group and good information and good exchange of ideas. Okay. If there's any questions, I can try to answer, or Ms. Cavill possibly. If not, then we'll move on. All right. That will take us then to the ISBE non-regulatory guidance on immigration enforcement actions. That was an information item. Dr. Small?
This guidance on immigration enforcement actions recommends that districts have clear steps should immigration officials arrive at the school, designate administrators who will receive information that is being requested, and have staff members' directives in place. Based on information from our attorneys, District 211 has a procedure in place should an immigration agent have come to our schools. This would be similar procedure that would happen for any person who is not a parent or guardian who comes to our school to contact us regarding information about a student. We remove the person to a secure meeting room, ask for identification and information, and that information then is passed on to the superintendent's office. Myself or my designees then review the information according to school policy, school code, and law. District 211 attorneys are available to review subpoenas and warrants, as these documents have different authority depending on their status. This is explained in great detail in the document that's attached to the board agenda. 211 also has 2 policies that additionally protect our students. The first does not allow students to be interviewed during the school day by any person who is not an employee unless that person has a required court order. This would be a criminal order signed by a judge. Criminal warrants are not what immigration officials are known to have as paperwork. The second policy designates that parents must be notified should there be any requests regarding a student in connection with law enforcement agencies. Both of these policies add to the protection of our students. Again, no authorities can engage with students without a court order that has been reviewed by District 211 attorneys to ensure that the connection to the student is required by law and action must be taken during the school day. In terms of immigration status, District 211 does not require information on immigration status, that is not allowed by the administrative code. The ISBE non-regulatory guidance contains a thorough reference page for those who are seeking additional references connected to their guidance and these procedures. District 211 staff continues to be dedicated to ensuring our students feel safe, valued, and welcomed so that they can truly engage in the opportunities we provide for them within our schools.
Any questions? Dr. Small had given us the information from the Illinois State Board of Education.
Yeah, I
Ms.
just
Barron?
have a question. Because from what I understand, we have protocols in place when it's happening during school time. But can you talk a little bit about after school? Because anybody can come in and out at some capability inside our schools. So how do we protect our students outside of schools? And do we have protocols in place as to who that person is going to be as like the designatee? Because not a lot of administrators are, usually late into the
We do.
evening and so, or maybe one or.
The board has approved for us to have safety and security personnel in our evenings until 10 o'clock. They are trained just as administrators are trained on what to do if the staff was in there. Our coaches and activity sponsors also know what to do.
Perfect. So then,
I will
because
say
again,
though,
they can come into our schools. Someone has to stop them in their tracks. So I guess like, how do we further protect them?
so I think we need to clarify that we cannot stop people when we have an event that is open to the public. So if an agent wants to walk in during a basketball game, they can, and we cannot stop them from doing that. But when we don't have events that are open to the public, we can certainly stop them from entering our school.
Question then, if someone walks in with a uniform or a vest that says ICE, would they, in turn, we would stop that individual or?
Unless they're coming into
Question.
an event that's open to the public, yes, we would stop them, and we have the ability to retain them to find out what they want and then send them away.
And that's part of the duty of our, the support staff that we have,
And the safety and
safety
security.
staff. Okay.
And so how do we can we clarify for any person in the community who might not want to be in that public setting, then like how can, maybe not assure them, but
Are they an adult? Are they one of our minors?
either or, it can be a
It
family
is-
that's going
it is
there
very
during our
different
public.
between our minors and what we can do and an adult.
So let's say,
Our protections are all set in place for minors that are our students.
and those protections are they still put in place when it's an open public event, or does it?
For our students?
For our students.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
I do not have a question, Madam President. I just wanted to thank Dr. Small. I asked a fairly lengthy series of questions related to this topic, most of which have been answered here in the public setting tonight. But I had specific questions regarding the our SROs and their involvement or non-involvement in any of these policies and procedures. And I want to thank Dr. Small for getting back to me and the rest of, all board members, because when one of us knows something, everybody knows something, in such a timely manner and with so thorough answers. So thank you, Dr. Small. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, we'll move on to unfinished business. And I'm going to go with the suggested motion that is coming from the administration, that the Board of Education accept the 2024 recapture levy under Section 18-233 of the Property Tax Code in the full amount extended by the Cook County Clerk. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
May I have a
Second.
Okay. All right, open it up for discussion. Dr.
If I
Small?
may start. Tonight, the board has been provided an updated 5-year projection to assist in the consideration of accepting or abating the property tax levy, recapture levy that is available to District 211. The major changes in the 5-year projection are documented in the details in the write-up that is attached to the agenda. There are 2 significant changes that I want to bring forward that we are currently experiencing as a district at an unprecedented level. First, our health benefits for our employees are currently $2.5 million above our original budget from the fall. This increase has been adjusted within the updated projections that you have received tonight. Secondly, at the chart on the top of page 3 of the write-up indicates we are experiencing the highest property tax refund rate since 2016. Therefore, the updated 5-year projection you see tonight has also been adjusted by $4.5 million, the loss in our revenue that is going back to taxpayers for their property tax adjustments. I'd like to show the chart. This is the chart that is in the board write-up. Just to kind of orientate you to the chart and remember how this works. When you see on the row where the fiscal years are, fiscal year 25 is the year we're in. The projections we're looking at are going out through FY30. The numbers that are circled in blue, these are numbers that we know. All other numbers on the projection are numbers that we are doing our estimates on as best as we can. When you look down to the yellow row, this is what the board is familiar with in looking at 5-year projections in terms of looking at our fund balance. Board policy, the minimum fund balance is 33%. When you look at the second yellow row, this would be the fund balance with the inclusion of the 2024 recapture levy. This is the most updated information, which is why we brought this to the board now, and the consideration of the recapture levy. The recapture levy is $4.2 million, which would increase the fund balance by approximately 1% each year, would have a financial impact on the average taxpayer of $40 a year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion?
Dr. Small, or Ms. Hummel, I have a question. I'm wondering if I'm correct in stating that it is my understanding that I know we have our board policy regarding the 33% minimum fund balance. We've discussed this ad nauseum, et cetera. But am I correct in stating that ISB, the State Board of Education itself, requires a 25% minimum cash on hand fund balance for districts? I don't know if that's specific to the educational fund or overall fund balance. First, am I right in saying that I believe that it's a 25% minimum, or any district in violation of that is warranting state intervention? Am I right in saying that?
I don't believe that they have a specific requirement for fund balance, but there are guidelines with regard to what happened. So there's a couple things. One, there's a financial profile score that is released every year. The highest rating is based upon a district that has 6 months of reserves. And then it goes down from there with regard to the score that is assigned to the district.
And who assigns those scores?
State Board of Education. There are other requirements. If you have deficit budgets without adequate fund balance, you have to complete a deficit spending plan, and there's some other components like that. But off the top of my head, I am not aware of a specific number that the state sets.
Okay, perfect. And then I know that you might not have this answer on hand, but just as a clarification, when you're talking about 6 months of operating expenses, do we have a ballpark of what that would be for our district specifically?
Roughly 150 million.
Okay. Those were my questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I'd like to point out that we do not have, any debt. I think that that's a positive. And I believe that when we set the 33%, we were looking at the about 6 months worth of funds being able to match, pay our expenses. So, all right, if there's no other questions, then I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Mr. Rosenblum.
Aye.
Ms. Cabell.
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski.
No.
Mr. McGowan.
Aye.
Ms. Barron.
No.
Mr. Bradley.
Aye.
Mrs. Klunkowitz.
Aye. The motion carries. All right, then that takes us to our next item. Which is the in-service dates. All right. And the recommended action, make sure I don't miss a date here. The recommended action is that the Board of Education approves the following shortened days: August 28th, 2025 for Parent Open House, March 5th, 2026 for College Night, and Friday, November 7th, 2025. Friday, February 13th, 2026, Friday, February 20th, 2026, and Friday, May 8th, 2026, as shortened days for in-service training of certified staff in special events, of which each school may choose a maximum of 2 days for 2025-2026. 2 shortened days for state-required testing days as determined by the Illinois State Board of Education, and implementation of 14 morning work sessions, each of which would be 75 minutes on the following Tuesdays: August 19th, 2025, September 2nd, 2025, September 16th, 2025, September 30th, 2025, October 28th, 2025, November 18th, 2025, December 2nd, 2025, January 13th, 2026, January 27th, 2026, February 10th, 2026, February 14th, 2026, March 10th, 2026, March 31st, 2026, and April 28th, 2026. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion. Okay, no discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. McGowan,
Aye.
Ms. Barron,
Aye.
Mr. Bradley,
Aye.
Ms. Cabell,
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum,
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye, the motion carries. Next item, the recommended action is that the Board of Education award the replacement of stadium lighting to Impact Sports Lighting LLC as presented with approval of ComEd rebates. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So I noticed in the write-up, it says that it eliminates the need for design services provided by the architect. And I'm assuming this was just put out to the cooperative, and there was no design specifications, and it wasn't bid out?
It was, we met with a couple different companies ahead of time to get an understanding of what the systems entailed and things like that. Went and reviewed different systems, physically, went to other schools to see them, and then worked through the cooperative of the most desirable lighting system that aligned with our current system and controls. And as stated in the write-up, it is through a purchasing cooperative, so it was bid through that agency.
So I guess it being Engineers Week, I'm just asking if there's any assurances that what we're putting in is going to be comparable, and that we've had an engineer look at it or some design professional to say that this system is going to be the equivalent or better outside of the rebates, outside of the cost efficiencies, outside of the longevity, but.
So the company that manufactures and installs the lighting, they certainly have a team of professionals that come out and evaluate, and every proposal that we have is very unique to each school with regard to the distance of runs and the setup that they have. And there's a lot of, so that there is, it is not just saying you have 58 fixtures and we're going to give you that many bulbs to come in. It is specified to our particular setup. I don't know if I'm missing anything that Mr. Sparks can add to, but I believe.
So we don't have a design professional representing us, directing them. They're telling us what they're going to give us. Is that correct?
Mr. Sparks, do you know if we've had, if we did? Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we had somebody representing our interests, verifying what we were getting was going to be equal or better to what we have. That's correct. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sparks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if not, roll call, please.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum?
Aye.
Ms. Cabell?
Aye.
Mr. McGowan?
Aye.
Ms. Barron?
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz?
Aye, the motion carries. Next recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of white magnetic marker boards from Educational Environment using the OMNIA Partners Purchasing Agreement in the amount of $63,340. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Barron?
Aye.
Mr. McGowan?
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Cabell?
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz?
Aye, the motion carries. The next item is, the recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of track resurfacing services from Field Turf USA using the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement in the amount of $323,105. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay.
When was the last time it was resurfaced, the tracks, do we know?
2019.
2019 were Fremden, Schaumburg, and it was actually done at the time that the turf was replaced.
Any other questions?
If I remember, were the tracks replaced at that time or resurfaced at that time?
They were replaced. I don't know that they were fully replaced. I don't remember the exact, but it was more than a resurfacing that was done at
The new
the.
drainage and the whole surface was
It was
different than
Yes.
the old was.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Cabell?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum?
Aye.
Ms. Barron?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Mr. McGowan?
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz?
Aye, the motion carries. All right, that takes us to our next item. We do have a couple of board policies that we're taking a look at, and this is the first reading on it. The first one is Board Policy BCA, Board of Education Organizational Meeting and Oath of Office. It's an informational item that's coming before us. And if I may, I'd like to start the discussion in regards to that. The hope is that we clarify our election process of officers so as not to cause confusion or anxiety as has occurred the last two election cycles. Over the years, we've had generally one person who's wanted to be, officer, and things have gone smoothly. At times, we've had two people that are interested in positions. And what we've done in the past is the individual puts their name forward, then the board members vote indicating which name of which person they would like for that particular position. The person with the majority of votes is the one that becomes that officer. Hopefully, the verbiage here clarifies that and allows us to be able to do that so it's easier. It does not cause confusion. It allows the individual put their name forward. And then whoever has the most votes, the majority vote, then that would be the person elected to that position. So that's the summary of the positions. And in the past, we've always asked 3 times, are there any nominations? And, that's how the nominations come forward.
The area that President Klimkowitz is specifically referencing begins at line 42.
Yeah, and we've taken a lot of things also. Over the last couple of years, Dr. Small has brought forward the positions, and we're looking at, Press Plus, to try to merge our policies that we have into our school board policies. Okay, any questions on that one?
I just had one. I'm okay with the verbiage, but it's nothing in here to indicate, in my opinion, maybe some type of deliberation or discussion needs to be had during those times too. And I don't think I see anything there where it's actually stated.
It isn't, and it generally, in the past, it really hasn't been. It's, the officer or the person puts their name forward. A lot of times what happens, or that has happened over the years, if someone is interested in the position, they will call other board members and chat with them and let them know why they're interested in it and what strengths they believe they bring, and ask for their vote.
Absolutely. I am familiar. That is exactly how it happens, but in the full transparency, I believe for community members, I think that as a board member, we should at least have to articulate why we're fitted for the position, and everyone that's throwing their name in the ring for the position. So I think there should be verbiage for some type of deliberation or discussion. It absolutely should go with changing. If we're changing leadership, there should be some type of articulation as to who's suited and why.
There's generally, in the election process, or even like for the IASB, it's not a matter of, debating the person, but maybe putting the information, the qualifications might be an option. I don't know. What say the rest of the board here? What are your thoughts?
So I concur with Mr. McGowan to have some verbiage in there to give the candidates an opportunity, should they so choose, to add some comments and some flavor to their nominations, if they so choose. That may be unnecessary because there may already be a decision that, that's been discussed between the candidates and others, to express their interests, their qualifications and such. There may be no need because there's only one person. So that one person doesn't have to say something, because we know that based on the policy that's being proposed, if there's only one person, then there's no voting taking place. That person is automatically the selected candidate. But I like to have the candidates have an opportunity, should they so choose, to express their interest in the open forum.
So where maybe someone can express when they put their name forward, as to what their strengths are and why they're seeking the position?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll draft some language for that. That is at the point where when a name is put forward.
If there are multiple, obviously.
That was my next question.
If there are
Only when there are multiple?
I would say if it goes around 3 times, right? If the nomination is called 3 times, at the end of the 3rd time, there are multiple candidates. The person who is running that particular position election names those 3 people and then asks if any of them would like to make a comment in support of their candidacy for that position. Would they like to do so? And then the person can say, yes, I'd like to say something, or there isn't something.
Okay, just let me clarify. That's only if there's multiple candidates.
Yes.
Okay, I will draft something and you'll see it in the next round.
But would you want something from if there's only one name?
No, it won't be necessary at that point.
But if you're saying you want the community to know about their strengths or why they're seeking the position, would you not want a comment from them?
No, because then at that point, they won the position.
Because
I agree with President Klimkowitz on this. Like, to me, the principles equally applied. So, and especially the principle we're talking about seems to be one of choice, not a mandatory, because we keep saying provide an opportunity for candidates to talk about their strengths or their reason for wanting the position, what have you. But to me, then what applies for all applies for one. If this is in the name of transparency, and I support that, then I think it should be just verbiage that applies regardless of how many candidates are put forward, particularly since it is an optional choice and not one that's mandatory.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think we need to, because if you're looking for transparency and you want people to know who we are, Everybody has the option then.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, excellent suggestion.
And just for my knowledge, when we don't have a president, it would go down to the vice president as far as like when we're, for an example.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So when we get to the organizational meeting, we have to have a pro tempore president that the board elects. Typically, it is the vice president, but the board has to officially act to put that person in place to run the organizational meeting.
Right, which is basically what we did last time and which has been standard procedure. Okay, all right. Thank you on that one. All right, then that takes us to BBA, Board Powers and Duties. And
if I can give a quick summary of this, this is a, again, as President Klimkowitz said, a conversion toward the press policy of board powers and duties, including indemnification. There are two unique duties that were on the original policy from District 211 that are maintained on this draft, and they are the last two, number 22 and number 23, starting at line 75. So those two items are not in press, but they are unique that were on our current policy in District 211 that continue on this draft version.
okay, any questions in regards to this particular policy? Okay, then that will take us to the next policy, and that is policy BDDB, agenda format.
This is compiling all policies that deal with school board meeting procedure that we have into one. So BDDB that you see before you is the base policy. It contains our current policy of our agenda format, which remains. It then adds in BDDD, which is our quorum policy, also adds in BDDG, the minutes, and BDDE, rules of order, which puts everything into one policy. And you'll see the recommended deletions of those other three as we get to the end of the policy list.
Okay. There's a couple of things I would like to highlight from this policy. On lines 81, it begins about the voting method of reminding people that a vote of an abstention or a present is not counted in the actual vote then because of you're not saying yay or nay. What else did I have here? That takes us, then I've got that one. Okay. Then I'd also like to just kind of talk a little bit about line 173. That goes to the quorum and about how we're able to meet in person and how we're able to meet in person with a quorum and also being able to have people call in. It was something prevents them from being physically attending the meeting, such as Ms. Cavill is not able to be here, but she's on the phone with us, which is really great. At least she's able to participate. However, having people here is the best, where we can exchange and talk about ideas and things of that nature. But
Madam President, can I please have 5 minutes, please?
Oh, we're recessed?
Please.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we're ready to reconvene. Again, in regards to the quorum, there's 4 reasons for someone not to attend the meeting in person. A personal illness or disability, employment, and sometimes we've had people who have had duties at work, but they've been able to join us over the phone, a family or other emergency. And number 4 is the unexpected childcare obligations. And I know that that came up within the last couple of years because there's a lot of young people who would like to run for the boards. However, sometimes with the childcare, it causes some problems. This allows younger people to be part of boards. And in some areas, some school districts, it's really hard to get people to run. So it's really important to have a nice mix of people at the board with some different backgrounds and things. My personal feeling is I think we need to give grace sometimes to people because sometimes with the child care, if you're running late and you're still able to get to the board meeting, it makes a world of difference being here and engaging with your fellow board members. So I think sometimes we have to just give grace to people and they show up, they give of their time. I think that that's really important. So I think these 4 reasons are extremely important, and I think people need to understand that. One of the other things that I'd just like to point out is the next item, lines 187 to 191, the rules of order. What we're asking for in here is that the board adopt the rules apply, that the board president, as the presiding officer, will use the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, as a guide when a question arises concerning procedure. In the past, we kind of went that it had to be Robert's Rules, and sometimes we ran into conflicting opinions. So just as a reminder, asking us to use that as a guide.
And I would concur with that, and I would hope that that would be followed, considering that recess requires a motion and a vote and should not interrupt a person that's on the floor. And it would be good if we did follow Robert's Rules of Order. I'd also like to, if I may, Madam
Yes, please.
President, just clarify for the new business, there is, with the 3 asterisks on line 69, will be shared with the board president before a board meeting. I'd like to maybe have that changed where possible, be shared with the board president. I know that sometimes we have public comments and then that leads to us adding new business to the agenda for the next meeting. And it may not be possible to share it prior, and I think there should be a little flexibility there and maybe change that word from will.
Okay, yeah, because we've done that, and that's kind of been our practice lately in case something has come up. All right. So looking at line 69. Is that agreeable with everyone? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anything else in regards to this particular policy?
If I just may, I just wanted to go back to some of the points that you made, Madam President, about the voting, sorry, not the voting method. Line 67, is that where we're, no. About attending the meetings, whether that be over the phone and the reasoning why folks may not be here in person. I just want to, thank you for talking about giving folks grace. I know that in the last year, you and Dr. Small, as well as her administrative staff, have given me really great grace as a new mother of another child. So I also want to clarify that does not make me any less prepared, any less invested in our students in our district. I'm Dr. Small and her staff are very much available for any questions beyond just a couple minutes in closed session. So I just want to thank you all for the grace that you have shown in me in the last year, and especially as a nursing mother. So thank you.
I hope I didn't say anything to slight, because I just wanted to make a point. You are here. You show up, you come, you're prepared, you ask questions. You are amazing. You are here. And that's the point I've been trying to get across.
No, and you made the point across. I just wanted to, drive it home for those who may be listening and taking attendance of our presence.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments or questions in regards to this?
Yeah, if I could, please. If we look at line 179 and maybe 178. So it says one is personal illness or disability. I concur. Line 2 or point number 2 says employment or district business. So I think that one is broad, employment, district business. Typically, if it's an employment engagement, it's rare that you'll have the ability to speak or attend the meeting if it's for employment. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of clarify that where it says employment or district business. Then also number 3, it says a family or other emergency.
So that would allow someone to possibly call in. I know we have some board members that their job causes them to be out of state for maybe a training or workshops or things of that nature, but they're able to join us in the evening, and then they've used the phone.
Correct.
So I think that's the employment part.
I don't believe we have any leniency in this language. I think it is prescribed to us by the Open Meetings Act. I will double check that, but that is my initial response without double checking. We do not.
That is
have
also
the
my
ability
understanding.
to vary them.
What were you looking at? I'm not clear.
Well, it wasn't that I was necessarily looking for anything. I just wanted clarification, because if we're going through a first reading of a rule,
Right.
then I was under the impression that there could be some interpretation. But if it isn't, and if it is what it is, then I'll move on.
I will confirm that and get it to the board.
Yep.
Okay.
Because then it's just a waste of time to talk about something that can't be changed, in my opinion.
Okay.
And if we can add some additions to that language, I think that, and again, you all showing me the grace of putting something in here about nursing. And I don't know if that falls in with one of these categories, but I know that has given me, the opportunities to leave the boardroom, go to a private area, call in, and then come back to that boardroom. But I don't know if that language can be added in here as well.
I concur. The whole idea of having flexibility and grace I don't see that in this paragraph.
Well, there's certain things that we have to have, so I think
I
there's
will
certain
get our
things we don't
attorney's
have to
opinion
change.
on this,
Yep.
and I will let the board know.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else in regards to this one? Okay. If not, then that will take us to, what do we have next? We have BD, policy BD, types of school board meetings. Any questions in regards to this one?
If I may, this is
Please.
combining the current policy BD, which is school board meetings in its original title, and adding into it BDA, regular board meetings, and BDB, special board meetings, so that they are all in one spot on one policy.
I'd like to recommend that line 23 just be clarified to state, maybe change it from school boards and then having the possessive pronoun in there, its committees, to and board committees, as the title board committee is used later and has a specific connotation. Just to make sure that there isn't a committee that is not a board committee that's confused.
So let me make sure I'm understanding you.
Right.
Read the line the way you're proposing it.
23,
Yep.
for all meetings of the school board and board committees.
Okay.
I know some committees that we've had in the past or may have in the future are not board committees, but they do have liaisons serving on them. But there's different requirements for a board committee versus a committee where there's just a member as a liaison.
Okay, thank you. Anything else in regards to this one?
I just want to follow up on that. In line 67, Mr. Dombrowski's suggestion would make it coherent with that language as well, because it's reflected back in line 67, the Board of Education and board committees. So I support his suggestion. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, 67 and 68.
Yes, the one specific to closed sessions. Mr. Dombrowski's suggestion is a good one in terms of clarifying for the open session, but I was just pointing out that it makes the language cohesive as it applies to closed session there, as noted in line 67 and 68.
Okay.
Board committees may call closed session to discuss item as the law allows.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, anything else on that one? All right. That takes care of the ones that are being revised. Then we have 5 board policies that are up for deletion because they've been blended in there. Any questions on any of those 5?
I and J are the ones that have been merged with policy BD, correct? So make sure I'm following.
Yes.
Policy BD
They've all been,
has
they've all been
absorbed
merged.
BDA.
They've all
Okay.
been
merged.
confirmed which letters go with which,
Yeah,
but they've all been merged.
Okay. Then that will take us to the new proposed policy on, let me get to that. The new proposed policy, IGCFB, high school credit for students in grades 7 or 8. Dr. Small?
This policy is based on the discussion from last month's board meeting. It is a press version that you are seeing.
Okay. Does that, what you see, is that what you're comfortable with, or any suggestions or changes? Okay. All right, then we're good with that. Then that will take us to our next item. Okay, board member expenses. The next recommended action is that the Board of Education approve the pre-approval form for future expense reimbursement for Anna Klemkowitz and Stephen Rosenblum to attend the North Cook Division Dinner Meeting on March 4th, 2025, as submitted. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bradley,
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski,
No.
Mr. McGowan,
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum,
Aye.
Ms. Cavill,
Aye.
Ms. Barron,
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye. The motion carries. The next item is potential topics for future discussion, and I've had none presented to me. Then that would take us to our committee reports, NSSEO. You have, let me flip to it if I may. You have the gap analysis, and I know I touched on it last month about the governance structure as they're working on the strategic plan. We're looking at a little bit different of the governing structure. We're looking at the finances and facilities, and we're looking on maintaining a highly qualified staff and instruction and programming. So those are really the 3 parts of the strategic plan that they're working on. So I did put a sheet at your table that kind of summarizes it. The gap analysis, the executive summary, goes into it a little bit more, and it talks about the other special ed cooperatives that are, you know, in the neighboring areas, and how they do their governing structure. One of the things that we're looking at doing differently through the strategic plan and the involvement of all of our member districts and our directors and our superintendents from all of our schools is looking at the governance of having a board, the governing board, and also having an operational board. And I'm going to ask Dr. Small to talk a little bit more about the thought behind that and what that might possibly look like.
So within the goals of the strategic plan, we were looking at a governance structure that included superintendents. And what came out of that was an action plan to do a gap analysis of comparing the NSSEO structure to other co-ops in our area. And what we found in that analysis was it is common for there to be a operational board that is made up of each of the members' superintendents. So the continuation of the involvement of our instructional experts, our facility experts, and our finance experts in those particular areas within that co-op, those experts are sent by each member district. Those recommendations then go up to an operational board, which is each member's superintendents. Some of those decisions that are operational would remain at that board. The ones that would be required governing board decisions would go up. Right now, what's happening is NSSEO is running more like a district instead of a co-op. So what wasn't happening was financial decisions or preparing for financial decisions started with a little bit of our member input, but then it never was moving up to superintendent and this board's recommendation. So we are kind of setting up a more efficient structure in terms of the people sitting at tables that are part of the recommending and then potentially the approving body along the way. So there will be more details to come on this, but that is the essence of the structural change. And then this board, as well as all the other entire 8 member boards will vote on that structure. So it will come back here for a vote.
It'll come back and, currently the board has had some special committees for finance and for facilities, and we've had a number of people. But I think with an operational board, it adds a little bit more continuity to it and more information from all of our member districts. So it's going to look a little bit different, but I think it's a positive step and much more involvement by each of the districts.
It is a commitment by each of the superintendents of the member districts to be an active member of the co-op and receive information and be able to give recommendations.
Okay.
Which is what a co-op should be.
Any questions?
I have a couple. So can the governing board remove members of the operational board?
No. The governing board is, in the current situation, Anna's vote represents you.
I understand that. And she's elected by the community to represent the community overall within the co-op as well. The governing board is not elected.
Anna is sent by this board to represent this board.
Right. And only elected members are on the governing board. Are there any governing board members at NSSEO that are not elected members of the community?
No, there are
Thank you.
8 members.
There are 8 members, yes. And this would add another with the operational board, which has a little bit more say into the structure, the facilities, and I think a little more of the continuity as to what our students need, what the expectations are, and I think a better understanding of all of our school districts that are part of it. Okay. Any other questions? And we'll come back, we'll have more information because I know meetings will be going on as to, how it would look as far as meetings for each of those boards throughout the year. Okay. Then we'll move on to the next committee report, which is EdRed. Mr. Rosenblum.
Thank you. So I'll start by saying, believe it or not, it's going to be short. There is a bill that is being advocated by EdRed that actually got a number, and that is The deprioritization of the use of schools for polling places. And there's a push to allow some involvement by the school districts with the election authority to decide whether or not their schools will be used as polling places. And there are some parameters that are being put around that, such as for the safety or operation of the school locations. So there's some things that they're going to be allowing schools to have a say as to whether or not their district's being used and the schools are being used. So that's a bill that's going through committees right now.
Just as a point of information, our schools and the district office on the north end are used as polling places. Our schools on the south end are not used as polling places.
Thank you. And the other thing is that the next meeting for EdRed is Friday, February 7th, and we will have representation at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. The next is the community.
February
I'm
7th?
sorry,
Oh,
not
I'm-
February
Okay, I was
7th, in March. Sorry about that. And we will have representation at that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
All right, next is the Community and Family Services Report. Ms. Barron?
Yeah, the UP Coalition met on January 29th at the Palatine Library, and they had a great meeting. We got a presentation from Hugh Brady from NAMNI. He presented on the 708 Mental Health Board referendum that Palatine Township is trying to pass to establish a 708 board, and talked about the benefits of having that board. I know that Schaumburg Township as well as Hanover Township already has their 708s established, so fingers crossed we will see the same at Palatine. They did a UP survey. They reviewed survey results from their surveying the community partners that make up the coalition, and they did a little bit of a community needs assessment as well. We were able to talk about what future meeting topics the members wanted to learn about. So there are a lot of great ones, as well as some of the biggest issues that they're seeing in the community. So this board members are really trying to take a look at what's affecting our community and how can our community members and our organizations, help out and chip in. So great meeting overall. And then as well as on board docs, if folks want to take a look at, there are 2 scholarship opportunities for our high school students. So anybody who can qualify for those scholarships, I recommend taking a look at and applying for those awards. And then at Palatine High School, they're doing a 3-part parent education series. The first one has passed, but their next one is March 12. That's going to be about supporting students during times of crisis, and April 9th on how to prepare students for transition to adulthood. And the guest speaker is Greta Nielsen, which I went to grade school with her daughter. But those are, given, those will be at Palatine High School for any parent who is interested in attending those workshops.
Thank you. That's great information there. All right, that will take us to the District 211 Foundation report. We met, and there's 26 scholarships are available at this time. The end date of turning those in is March 21st, and the hope is then they can be reviewed by mid-April and in time for the student recognitions that happen at the end of April and into May. Also, Dr. Small is working with, Aaron Holmes and a couple of our students, 2 students, on updating the foundation website. So I'm really glad to see student input and student involvement. So we've got two young ladies that are going to be working on that. They're looking at, how do we put the information out there forward, making it just easy for our donors, getting some of our stories out there and some involvement as to, what we're doing for our students. So that's kind of where we stand right now. I don't know, Dr. Small, anything else? Yeah. All right, thank you. Then that takes us to the Illinois Association of School Boards report. Mr. Rosenblum?
Two things. One is thank you, board members, for my colleagues for approving the expenses for Mrs. Klimkowitz and I to attend the North Cook Division dinner meeting on March 4th. Looking forward to that. And one other thing is, and this is mentioned on ISB's website, is that February 24th to 28th is Public Schools Week. And it honors the individual contributions and achievements of educators and education advocates in our public schools and the communities which we serve. So it invites the education community, parents, lawmakers, and others to join us in spotlighting our nation's public schools and the dedicated individuals behind them. That is my report.
All right, thank you. That takes us back to Ms. Barron with the Parent Connections and Communications report.
Yes, I was unable to attend that meeting, but Mr. Tenneper is going to give the report.
Sure. Yeah. So we started off the meeting looking at our student success guide, which will be on the websites, and this is just a year-by-year guide for families to look at the main things that are going on in each of those years of the high school experience to help them along the way, whether it's taking the ACT or starting to look at college and career interests. Then we took a look at the mobile app, which is close to completion here. So, and people gave some final input before we launch it in the near future. And then we took a little bit of an evaluation of all of our methods of communication with the community, whether it was social media, newsletters, website, text messages, and got a little bit of insight into what people found helpful and how we could be more helpful to people.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, that takes us to our calendar of events. And, well, we've got spring break coming right around the corner. Our next board meeting is March 20th.
I have something to add, if you don't
Yes,
mind,
please.
Mrs. Klimkowitz, and that is Thursday, March 6th, is a special night, annual night that we have in District 211. I know we have a couple of these kinds of nights, but this one is, we usually have, so it's college night. So it's a night at Palatine High School. Again, Thursday, March 6th, for those in the audience and those who are watching live stream, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Palatine. It is free. It is for students and their parents who are looking at colleges and universities. And it for sure is an event. So if we're looking at events in our district, this is a happening and a true event, and an annual event that I greatly enjoy attending and seeing our young people and their families explore the different post-high school educational opportunities that abound.
Thank you.
And
Thank
just
you
to
for-
clarify, it's not only colleges, universities, it's also other career paths that are part of this.
It is. It's
This is college night.
This is college night. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
We have another one that, we have all different ones.
Okay,
The one
I got it
Mr.
confused,
Rosenblum is
sorry.
referencing is college night. We also have a fair that is specifically for seniors ready to become full-time members of the workforce. That's
Okay.
another one.
and I believe we also have another evening program for first time.
We have workshop for that. We also have a military fair.
So, but thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. And maybe we can add those items to our calendars in the future, some of those other things, because I think it's really important. So thank you very much. All right, that will take us to closed session, and we have to make the motion, and because we have it here in our agenda, that the board enter closed session to discuss minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and matter pertaining to an individual student. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? All right, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Barron,
Oh, no, sorry, no.
Mr. Bradley,
No.
Ms. Cavill,
No.
Mr. Dombrowski,
No.
Mr. McGowan,
No.
Mr. Rosenblum,
No.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
No, the motion fails. That takes us to the next recommended action, that the Board of Education accepts the retirement of Roger Snyder effective July 2025, consistent with the master contract of the District 211 United Support Staff. And Lynette Irvin, effective November 2028, consistent with the master contract of the District 211 United Support Staff. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Rosenblum.
Aye.
Ms. Barron.
Aye.
Mr. Bradley.
Aye.
Mr. McGowan. Ms. Cavill.
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye, the motion carries. Next recommended action is that employee Victor Cifuentes be suspended for 7 work days without pay. Further, that the board secretary notify said employee in writing of this action by the Board of Education. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Barron.
Aye.
Ms. Cavill.
Aye.
Mr. McGowan. Mr. Bradley.
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblum.
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye, the motion carries. Next recommended action is that effective July 1st, 2025, Lawana Wells be appointed as Associate Principal at Hoffman Estates High School at a gross salary of $163,000. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. McGowan. Mr. Rosenblum.
Aye.
Ms. Cavill.
Aye.
Mr. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Mr. Bradley.
Aye.
Ms. Barron.
Aye.
Mrs. Klimkowitz.
Aye, the motion carries. And with no further business coming for the board president declares the meeting of Board of Education